I cannot believe this. As following Ross Atkins making a nice signing surrounding Max Scherzer, and now reports starting to come out surrounding Pete Alonso, some new reports have dropped surrounding Alex Bregman and the Toronto Blue Jays' interest in him from Jeff Passan and a couple of other reporters. So to break that down and discuss the latest updates surrounding that. But we also have some new details that have been revealed surrounding the Anthony Santander contract that has Jays fans shocked, but also a lot more fired up because this contract just continues to get better and is way better than we initially thought. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. If you're enjoying it, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to spring training, to the baseball season starting, and of course, Vladdy's decision date, which is February 18th, or at least I guess the Jays' decision date to when Vladdy can be extended. But ladies and gentlemen, there is a ton of things flying now regarding reports, rumors. We know the Pete Alonso situation still, he could sign as early as this weekend. We're going to keep you up to date if any news drops, could be today or in the future. But some more reports have dropped surrounding Alex Bregman. We'll get into the Anthony Santander stuff later. But let's start with the Alex Bregman stuff and stick around for the Santander stuff because that is wild. So, as we know, we can backtrack a little bit. In yesterday's video, I covered the fact that reporter came out saying Toronto's goal is to land two of Scherzer, Pete Alonso, and Alex Bregman. We all know that, and this is, of course, following the Max Scherzer signing. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, the Jays at this point desperately need another bat. And if all these reports are pointing to them needing or wanting at least one more of, Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman, most people are talking about Bregman, or Alonso, sorry, but Bregman is very much in play. And I covered this yesterday. There's no question who the most aggressive teams are right now for Alonso and Bregman, and it's the Blue Jays and the Cubs. Now, again, the Cubs interested in Bregman. We know the Jays are very interested in Bregman. And here's what Jeff Passan had to say about Bregman. We have another interesting report coming up as well. But this is from Jeff Passan on his market. 156 is still in play. So theoretically, would it take more for him to sign somewhere else? One would think. But is a 3 or 4 year contract with a higher AAV and an opt-out after years 1 and 2 more valuable in the long term? I don't know. He's going to end up in Boston at this point. So there's a few different things to go over with this. We know that Alex Bregman and Houston were hoping for a reunion here, but more and more reports are essentially starting to come out, and these reports are saying, hey, it doesn't seem like he's going to return to the Houston Astros. They traded Ryan Presley. Everybody thought after they traded Ryan Presley that they were opening up cap room, opening up space, all these different things for an Alex Bregman return, opening up roster spots, all those things, right? However, that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, obviously, as you talk about Alex Bregman's market, 156 is extremely interesting. And we know the Red Sox were involved. We know the Astros are involved still, even though Jeff Passan doesn't seem to think he's going to end up in Boston. But one of the key teams that has continued to mention is the Toronto Blue Jays. And that is, of course, a very important aspect of this specific, report. Is that, of course, we know that the 156. And that is interesting because we know a report came out a couple of days ago surrounding the Jays offer. This is from Bob Nightingale and John Heyman, I believe. The Astros are apparently still willing to do the 156 6-year deal they reportedly offered in November, but he's still hoping not to be cut from his $28.5 million salary. Bregman also has a 6-year offer with an opt-out after the first year from a team that may not be that may not be high on his list. Obviously a typo, but that may be not be high on the list. So the Jays at this moment are surely this team because we saw a report come out from Bob Nightingale the other day. This from John Heyman from Bob Nightingale saying, hey, the Jays have an offer, I think it was Bob Nightingale, on the table for 6 years, 156. So now there's a bunch of different things going on because you have Jeff Passan coming out and saying that if any other team wants to, so the Astros have a 6-year, $156 million deal on the table. It seems the Jays also have that. But in order for Bregman to want to go to one of these other teams, i.e. the Toronto Blue Jays, you would have to, up your offer a little bit. And I think the Alex Bregman contract at 6 years, 156 or whatever it ends up being is already a pretty hefty risk as is. And I think, the Jays are moving in a way this offseason that is showing that they want to commit to winning this upcoming season, next season. That is their focus right now. It is Ross Atkins. It is Mark Shapiro's last year of their contracts. They want to win. There's no doubt about it. You signed Jeff Hoffman. He's a reliever. You spent a ton of money on a reliever, the most in a decade. Okay, you got that. You're going buy now mode for Anthony Santander. You spend the money on Max Scherzer in a 1-year deal. Of course, we talk about Andres Gimenez, the trade there. You're taking on a ton of money. This team wants to win next year. And that is why they are putting, and according to another report now backing up the fact. Now, he doesn't specifically mention the Blue Jays, but there's only a couple of other teams involved. Unless the Red Sox or Cubs have a 6-year offer on the table, I think at this point it is the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay. So now that we have this established, there's so many different teams in the market, obviously for different players. But if it's down to, the Astros, the Red Sox, the Cubs, and the Jays, which seems to be the case, it is interesting. And again, another report. The Bregman has a 6-year offer from another club. And it was John Heyman said he also has a lucrative 6-year offer from another team. Heyman mentions the Cubs, the Tigers, the Red Sox, the clubs that have been in the mix. Bob Nightingale recently appeared on the Area 45 and suggested the Jays might have a 6-year offer out to Bregman. The twists and turns of the Bregman saga have been well documented, going back to the Astros seeming like a strong possibility, and there has clearly been mutual interest, but a gap in talks when it comes to the financials, with Bregman looking to get something close to 200. So Bregman wants something near 200. The other teams agree that that isn't really feasible. Let's keep in mind, by the time that 6-year contract ends, he's going to be in his late 30s, and he already had the worst season of his career last year. Is he a fantastic, fantastic hitter? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Or fielder, sorry, and a good hitter throughout his career. But is he a fantastic, fantastic fielder? Yes, he is. However, as a hitter, he's less fantastic now. Again, in 2022, an 820 OPS, you can see there on the left. 2023, 804 OPS. And most recently, on the left there, 768 OPS last season, which isn't great. Still put up a 4.1 F-WAR, or B-WAR, sorry, because of his defense. He doesn't strike out a lot. He has some good things, and he's also, of course, a winner. And again, whether you want to kind of consider him a winner with all the Astros scandals that gone on, he's only 30 years old. He's going to be 31 entering next season. And if you do a 6-year deal, you're, of course, deep in now. But all these reports are basically pointing to the fact that, hey, the Jays are at a juncture now where they need to decide whether to go all in and really push, which would be an Alex Bregman signing. This contract is not going to age well. There's zero doubt about it. It is not going to age well. In 2 to 3 years, it will not be a good contract. And he's going to continue, even if he maintains a 750 OPS for the next 3 years, it's still not worth the money he's given. However, if you can get a couple more good years out of Alex Bregman next season and then the season after, your starting rotation now is getting older. I mean, your window is closing. I mean, talking about UFAs, Bichette's a UFA. We'll have a video on him coming up. I see a lot of you guys down below in the comments talking about it. But Bichette is a UFA after next season. So is Vladdy, unless he gets extended. This team needs to win now, and they seem to be fine overpaying. They're already about to surpass the 3rd CBT threshold. So if that's the case, may as well just spend the money on Alex Bregman. I mean, it's not my money, so I don't care if they spend and it ends up being bad. You obviously don't want bad contracts, but this team can afford to have a pretty bad contract. They already have one in George Springer. If they really want to field a team, think about it. Alex Bregman, Bichette, Andres Gimenez, and Vladdy, that's an incredible, one of the best in the league infields. And again, he wants $200 million. I don't think the Jays go there. I think the only way he ends up, the chances that he ends up being a Jay are if he doesn't want to go to the Astros and the Jays maybe up their offer to 170. So then he's $15 million or whatever it is above the previous offer, $15 million above some of the other teams' offers. And then you can really start to convince yourself about being a Jay. And let's not forget, I think having Max Scherzer on the team is going to help other players as well, as it pertains to coming to Toronto, right? I think that's ultimately something that is very likely and could very well happen. Now, as we start to talk about what this means for, Pete Alonso, I think if they miss out on Pete Alonso, there's a good chance they come and they pivot to Alex Bregman. I don't think they make this move until Pete Alonso, is gone. If Pete Alonso signs with the Mets, the Jays will then switch their turn and really go all in for Alex Bregman, and that's what it seems to be there. And again, the Jays are the most aggressive. We have a bunch of reports coming out. And let me know down below what your thoughts are. Some interesting reports from Jeff Passan. But something else I want to mention is Anthony Santander. And a report dropped from Ken Rosenthal yesterday. And it was very interesting. Late last night, some in the industry speculated that outfielder Anthony Santander agreed to defer 2/3 of his 5-year deal because he lacked other options. Such was not the case. The Royals made Santander a 3-year offer and increased it to $66 million. But by the time they presented Santander with their enhanced proposal, which included an opt-out after the 2nd year and deferrals that were still being negotiated, he had committed to the Blue Jays. So he had an offer on the table, which was a better value than the Toronto Blue Jays, but he had already agreed to the Jays by the time this offer came through. I mean, shout out to Santander. Talk about a guy who wanted to be a Blue Jay. Anthony Santander is bleeding it, and I'm excited to see him hit 30, 40 home runs next season. But the fact that it's not like the Blue Jays were the only team offering him money. They got a fantastic deal, an absolute steal. And the last sentence there is interesting. By the time they presented Santander with their enhanced proposal, the Royals, that is, which included an opt-out after the second year and deferrals that were still being negotiated, he had committed to the Jays. So, he had a 3-year deal with a lot of money, and he over $20 million a year, $22 million a year, right? With an opt-out after year 2. Really the dream contract for him. But now he's locked into 6 years with the Blue Jays with opt-outs in there as well after the second year and things like that. But the Jays can nix that as well if he's playing really well. So, I think the Jays came out well. I think Santander came out well. It gets a bit more guaranteed money. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. A ton of things going on. And we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest news because I suspect Pete Alonso is going to sign very, very shortly. But either way, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.